I have to get this off my chest before we start, because it's been building for 4 weeks and I can't hold it in one more second. Every episode, you walk in here and take something I trust and pull it out from under me. First, the moving clock. It runs slow, you said, and it does. Then the moving ruler. It shrinks, actually shrinks, in the direction it's flying. And then last week, the cruelest one yet. 2 people can't even agree on what's happening now, on which of 2 things came first. So I've got one question tonight and I want a straight answer. Is there anything left? Anything at all that every single person in this universe agrees on? Or is it just disagreement all the way down, turtles of arguing stacked to the bottom of the well?
One thing. There is one thing, and everyone in the cosmos agrees on it. Whatever their speed, whichever way they're flying, no matter how bitterly they fight about all the rest.
Oh, thank goodness. A floor. A solid floor at last. Tell me it's, what, the length of a ruler? The tick of a second? Give me the one thing that survived the flood so I can go home tonight and hold it.
That's the wait what of it. It isn't space, and it isn't time. Both of those you've already watched melt right through your fingers. It's a strange marriage of the two, a certain blend of a bit of time and a bit of space. And that blend is the thing nobody, at any speed, in any direction, has ever managed to budge by a hair.
A blend of space and time. The 2 quantities you just spent a month proving are made of quicksand. So you've taken the 2 most untrustworthy things in the building, stirred them together in a bucket, and now you're telling me the bucket is bedrock.
The bucket is bedrock. I know how it sounds. It sounds like I've mixed 2 poisons and told you the cocktail is medicine. But that is honestly the shape of it, and by the end of the hour, it's going to feel like the plainest fact in the world.
The plainest fact in the world. I'll believe that when I'm holding it. Right now it feels like you're asking me to trust a raft woven out of 2 things I watched sink to the bottom.
Then don't trust me. Trust the raft when you're standing on it. I'm not going to argue you aboard. I'm going to build it under your feet, plank by plank, until you look down and notice you've stopped sinking. That's the whole difference between being told a thing and being shown one.
See, this is what unsettles me, because now I'm cross. For 4 weeks the gospel was, the floor is moving. The floor is always moving. Nothing is nailed down anywhere. Don't get comfortable. And now, week 5, you stroll in and calmly tell me something is bolted to the floor after all. So make up your mind for me. Is the floor moving or is it not?
Both. And I mean that honestly. It isn't a dodge. The floorboards move. Every last one of them, just as I showed you, week after week. But the room they sit in has a shape, and the shape does not move at all. The boards can slide and swap and shuffle all they like. The room stays the room.
The room has a shape. That's the sort of sentence that sounds terribly deep, right up until you try to lean your weight on it, and it gives way beneath you.
Then lean your full weight on it. That's the hour. Give me 60 minutes and I'll show you the shape of the room. The thing the moving floorboards are all sliding around on top of. And once you've truly seen it, 4 weeks of seasickness turn into the steadiest ground you have ever stood on in your life.
Steady ground. Big words, from the man who confiscated my ruler and never once gave it back. Fine, where do we start? Clocks again? Trains? Some poor devil strapped to the nose of a rocket?
None of them. Not one clock, not one train. We start with 2 people and a church.
A church.
A church out across a field with a tall steeple on it. And 2 surveyors, the people whose trade is measuring land, standing side by side, both squinting at the same steeple. Each of them wants to write down where it is, and each begins the way surveyors always do, by pulling out a compass to find which way north is.
With you so far. 2 surveyors, 1 steeple, 2 compasses. And I can already tell this turns on the compasses, so out with it.
It turns on the compasses. Their compasses aren't quite lined up. One is turned a little from the other. Maybe they stand on slightly different ground. Maybe one got knocked about in a saddlebag on the way out. Doesn't matter why. What matters is that north to the first surveyor sits a hair off from north to the second. Their whole sense of which way the world points is tilted, one against the other.
All right, so their norths are tilted a touch apart. I still don't see why I should lose a wink of sleep over it.
Because of what they do next. Each of them pins the steeple down by splitting it into 2 numbers. How far away it is to the east and how far away it is to the north. That is simply how you fix a spot on a map. So much east, so much north, and you've got the thing located.
And since their 2 norths are tilted apart, their east and their north won't match either. One person's north is leaning into the other person's east.
They can't match. The first surveyor writes down that the steeple is mostly east of here, only a touch to the north. The second, with her tilted compass, shakes her head. No, it's more to the north than that, and rather less to the east. 2 different pairs of numbers for one steeple that has not so much as trembled in the breeze.
So they argue.
They argue the whole afternoon. 2 grown people, one steeple standing dead still in a field, and a genuine, red-faced quarrel about where on earth the thing actually is.
Over a building that is plainly just there, for anyone with a pair of eyes. This is a very silly argument you've built for me.
It's a silly argument, and that's the point. You can already feel that both of them are somehow right and somehow talking straight past each other, and that the fix ought to be simple. So walk over and hand them something that is not a compass. Hand them a plain tape measure, and ask them to measure the one thing no compass ever touched, the straight line distance from where they stand to the foot of the steeple, as the crow flies.
Wait, why not just have them both walk to the steeple and count their paces? Wouldn't that settle it faster than any tape?
That is the very thing that tape does, and it's the heart of the trick. So hold that thought tight. Walking straight to the steeple is a direct measurement of the real gap between you and it. The compass split, east and north, is an indirect one, a bookkeeper's way of carving that one real gap into 2 tidy columns. And it's the columns they fight about, never the gap.
So let them pace it out, or run the tape, either way.
Either way, they get the same number. To the hair. The one distance they measure straight, the real as the crow flies stretch of ground between them and that steeple, comes out identical for both of them. They never disagreed about the steeple at all. They only disagreed about how to slice the walk to it into east and north. 2 honest measurements, both correct, both careful, and the only thing wrong in the scene was the quiet assumption that east and north were features of the field, out there in the grass, rather than features of the compass in each of their hands. Take the compass out of it, pace the ground yourself, and the argument has nowhere left to stand.
And it wouldn't matter how badly their compasses were tilted, would it? You could spin one of them halfway round the dial and the tape still wouldn't care.
Spin it as far as you please. The east and the north they write down go completely haywire. Wild, unrecognizable numbers, the steeple flung off into strange quarters of the map. And the tape never so much as flinches. The more you turn the compass, the more one column swells and the other shrinks, and they trade off in perfect lockstep. So the distance you build back out of the pair holds dead firm.
So the fight was fake the whole time. The steeple was pinned. All they were ever scrapping over was their own bookkeeping. How each of them chose to carve one honest walk into eastward bits and northward bits.
The disagreement was hiding an agreement underneath it. And I want you gripping that, really holding it in your fist, before we go anywhere near a clock tonight. A disagreement, out in the open, loud and red-faced and real, can have a rock-solid agreement sitting perfectly still beneath it, if only you know which measurement to reach for.
Oh, you sly thing. You built that church like a mousetrap and let me stroll right into the middle of it. The map makers, who couldn't agree on north, and it turns out they were never fighting at all, they were measuring the same town, the same ground, the same steeple, the same everything under heaven, just holding their compasses at a tilt from one another.
Measuring the same town the whole while. Now, keep that church fixed in your mind, and let me bring the physics up gently alongside it. You remember, better than you'd care to, that a moving clock reads less time, and a moving ruler reads less length. Let me hand it to you in plain pieces. Picture two events, a flash of light here, a flash of light there, each flash a definite happening, at a definite spot, at a definite moment. That, and nothing more, is what an event is. A where and a when, bolted together into one point of history.
Two flashes. A here and then and a there and then. Fine, I've got them both.
Now ask two people how much time passed between those two flashes and how much space sat between them. Two people moving differently, mind. One lounging on a station platform, one rushing through on a train. What do they tell you?
Different numbers. This I have bled for, personally. The one on the train. Their clock says less time went by. Their ruler says less distance across. I've stood at the graveside for both of those measurements.
Different how much time. Different how much space. Now hold that straight up beside the two surveyors and tell me what you see. Different how far north. Different how far east. Are the two pictures starting to slide together on you yet?
You're about to tell me that time is the north and space is the east, that the clock is one column and the ruler is the other.
I'm telling you they behave just like it. When you change how you're moving, when you get up and pace the deck of a ship, the way Galileo had people pacing his, sealed below decks, unable to feel by any test that they were moving at all, you don't merely move through the world, you re-slice it. You trade away some of the time apart between two events for some of the space apart. The same trade the second surveyor made when she swapped a little east for a little north.
Hang on, walk me through the trade slowly, because it keeps slipping out of my hands. I speed up, and in the speeding up hand back some of the time between the two flashes and get some space in exchange?
You re-pour them from one pan into the other. Picture a clock ticking twice in the corner of a still room. To someone sitting quietly in there with it, those two ticks, two events, happen a certain time apart and no distance apart at all. Same spot, one after the other, tick and tick. But go sailing past that room on your train, and now, to you, the two ticks are a touch more time apart, and some real distance apart, because in the gap between one tick and the next, you've slid a long way down the line, so the second tick happens somewhere new, back down the platform. You've opened up a slice of space between, where a moment before there was none.
Same two ticks, nothing happened to the clock. I just changed my own motion, and the mix of time and space between them quietly re-poured itself, like sand shifting from one pan of a scale into the other.
Like sand shifting pans. That's a fine way to carry it, and I'd hold on to it. So motion is a tilt of your compass, except your compass carves the world up into time and space instead of into north and east. Get up and move, and you tilt it a little more.
And if I slow back down to a dead stop, does the space pour straight back into time again? Do I get my original split handed back to me?
You get it back. Every last drop. Slow to a halt beside the clock, and the two ticks fall into the same spot once more. No distance between them, all the separation living in time again. Nothing has been spent, nothing lost. You only ever tilted the compass, and a compass tilts back. And the one thing that never stirred through any of it, coming or going, was the blend. That sat there like the steeple while you turned around it.
And nobody's compass is the right one, is it? Just like the two surveyors. Neither of them owns the true north.
Nobody's is the right one. There is no true north for time and space, any more than there was one for the field. And let me say this gently, so you don't take me too literally. Nobody is being physically spun around and pointed at next Tuesday. The tilt is a picture for how the split re-pours itself between time and space when you move. But as a picture, it holds all the way to the bottom. And now look at what it costs the old world. Newton handed us space and time as two utterly separate, eternal absolutes. A great empty stage over here. Space, one and the same for every soul. A great cosmic clock over there. Time, ticking identically for everyone, forever, no matter what any of us did or how hard we ran. Two things, two different things that never once touched.
And we've just gone and stitched them into one.
Into one single fabric. Not a stage with a clock nailed up on the wall behind it. One seamless weave, folded together, where how much time and how much space are only two ways of slicing the same bolt of cloth. Change your motion and you cut the cloth on a different bias. And here's the quiet violence hidden in that. The cloth was never two cloths sewn at a seam. There is no seam to find, no place where time stops and space starts, no join you could ever put your thumbnail into. The line Newton drew between them was a line on a map we invented for our own convenience, not a wall the world was ever built with. Pull the map away and the wall goes with it, and you're left holding one undivided thing. And there's a name people use for the stitched-together thing, and it's the plainest name you could ever dream up.
Go on then, give it to me.
Space-time. Space and time run together into a single word, because they turned out, under all the fighting, to be a single thing. That's the picture Einstein left us. Not two arenas with the action shuttling back and forth between them. One arena, one fabric, one cloth.
One word for the pair that Newton swore blind on his life were two. He is not having a good century, is he, poor man? First you took his clock, and now you've pulled his stage out from under it too.
A truly dreadful century for Newton. But here is where all of it turns, and this is the thing I've been quietly sitting on for 4 weeks, itching to hand you. Come back to the two surveyors one last time. They fought about east, they fought about north, and then the tape measure gave them one number they both grudgingly bowed to, the straight line distance. So now ask me the only question in the room that matters.
Is there a tape measure for space-time?
There is.
There's a single number, one solitary number, that I can measure between two events, and every last body in the universe agrees on it? The fast one and the slow one, the one on the train and the one on the platform, the comet and the beam of starlight. All of them, the same answer, no argument left to have?
Every one of them. Every observer, at every speed, in every direction. You, me, the passing comet, the thread of starlight, takes those same two events and blends the time between them with the space between them in one particular way, and comes out holding the same number. Every single one of them, without exception, ever.
Even though not one of them can agree on the time alone or the space alone.
They'll fight about the time on its own until the stars go cold in the sky. They'll fight about the space on its own just as bitterly, just as long. But that one combined space-time distance between the two events, there's a name for it. We call it the interval. Nobody has ever disagreed about. Not once. Not anywhere. Line it up against the church piece for piece. The time apart is there, how far east? The space apart is there, how far north? Both of them personal, both elastic, both up for grabs.
And the interval is the tape measure, the straight line walk to the steeple that they all bow to.
The interval is the tape measure, the steeple, standing dead still while everyone bickers about where it is. Every observer alive, however they carve up the time and the space between two events, blends the pieces back together in their own way and lands on the identical interval. The parts stretch, your slice of time, your slice of space, both pulled like taffy the instant you move, but the blend of them holds. They fight tooth and nail about the two parts, and agree to the hair about the whole. And once you've felt that, this whole month stops being a catalogue of losses and turns into one long, patient hint. The slowing clock, the shrinking ruler, the death of now. None of it was the world coming apart at the seams. It was the world holding one thing so tightly that everything around it had to give, had to stretch and shuffle and re-pour, just to keep that one thing pinned. The stretching was never the disease, it was the symptom of something underneath refusing to move.
But hold on, which blend? How does everyone land on the same one? You could stir time and space together in 1,000 different recipes and get 1,000 different numbers.
You could, and here's the beautiful part, the part that hooks it straight back to the start of the season. There's just one recipe that keeps light speed the same for everybody, and that recipe is the interval. Remember, Maxwell handed us a light that carries one built-in speed, no matter who is looking at it. Demand that light come out the same for all, and you are forced, with no say in the matter, into this one blend of time and space. The interval isn't a choice anyone made. It's the shape time and space are compelled into, the moment you insist that light won't play favorites.
So the thing that survived isn't arbitrary. It's the one blend that had to exist. The instant light refused to change its speed for anybody.
The one blend that had to exist. That's the flaw. That's the single thing every soul in the universe agrees on, and it was forced into being by the one stubborn fact that started this whole avalanche rolling.
So it really is bedrock, not a comfort you're offering me to be kind, a thing that simply couldn't have been otherwise.
That's the one thing. The series is called Elastic because everything you own stretches. Your clock, your ruler, your sense of now. All of it, pulled like warm toffee the moment you so much as move. This is the one thing in all of it that will not stretch. The interval between two events simply is what it is. For everyone. Full stop, and no appeal.
The one thing that will not stretch. I've been so busy this month grieving everything that melted, it genuinely never crossed my mind to ask whether anything at all was holding underneath. And there's been a rock sitting at the bottom of this whole flood the entire time, hasn't there?
A rock at the bottom of the flood. Sit with it a moment. It's the spine of the season. Everything bends. This does not. And every disagreement you've suffered through for a month was all along just two people slicing up the same one unbudging thing from two different angles.
And does the blend always come out the same flavour? It seems like sometimes two events must have heaps of time between them and hardly any space, and sometimes it's the other way round.
It does come out in flavours, and that, right there, is the seed of the next thing, so plant it now. When two events have more time between them than space, the interval comes out time-heavy, and then anyone can be present at both of them. A single clock is able to tick its way across the gap and be at each in turn. Those are the pairs you can be part of, but when there's more space than time, it comes out space-heavy, and then no clock, nothing slower than light, can bridge them. Those two are strangers, forever. The flavour of the blend is already whispering to you who is allowed to touch whom.
So the sign of the number, the flavour, is quietly sorting the whole universe into things I can be part of and things I can't. I want to hold that for a second because it's the first genuinely solid thing you've handed me in a month of Sundays.
Hold it as long as you like, because now I have to tell you something strange about the blend, and if I don't, you'll picture it wrong, and the wrong picture will fail you badly on the last night of the season. When the surveyors blended their east and their north into that straight-line distance, how do you suppose they did the blending?
The schoolroom way, surely. So much east, so much north, and the crow's flight distance comes from putting the two together. The old three-sided figure trick you learn as a child, hunched over a slate. Square each one, add the two up, out pops the distance. You add the pieces together.
Add. That's the word to keep your eye pinned on. On a map, you add the pieces. East and north pull the same way. More of either makes the journey bigger. Both push you outward, away from home. Now here is what makes space-time not a map, and I need you braced for it. When you blend the time part and the space part into the interval, you do not add them. Time and space go into the blend with opposite signs. One comes in as a plus, the other comes in as a minus. It is not a sum at all. It is far more like a subtraction. And that is not a quirk you could file away and forget. It is the reason light could sit on a knife's edge in the first place. Add two things that are both positive, and you can never, ever land on zero. There's nothing to cancel. But subtract, and there is one perfect balance where the two pieces fall dead even and the answer drops away to nothing. And that razor's edge balance is where light chose to live. No minus, no seam. No seam, no cone. The architecture of what can touch what hangs off that one small sign.
I'm sorry, a subtraction? You subtract the space from the time? That is the honest arithmetic of the entire cosmos. Take how far apart in time, then take the space away from it again. And that is the sacred, unbreakable number nobody in all of creation is allowed to argue with.
That is the sacred, unbreakable number nobody in all of creation is allowed to argue with. I did warn you, right at the top of the hour, that it was strange.
A minus sign. The universe guards its single most unbreakable quantity by subtracting one part of it clean away from the other. Everywhere else in my life, distance is things adding up. More east, more north, more weary miles on the road. And here, the one honest measure, the holy one, the one everybody bows to, is two things cancelling each other out.
Two things cancelling out. And that one small minus sign. Hold it close, because it is the whole character of space-time. It's the reason the fabric is stranger than any cloth a tailor ever cut. On a map, adding always makes your journey longer. Take a detour, walk more ground, the number climbs and climbs. But in space-time, because of that minus, taking a longer, more roundabout path can leave you with less. Not more, less.
That's backwards. A longer road handing you less at the end of it.
Backwards from a map. Right side up for space-time. On a map, the straight line is always the shortest one between 2 points. Here, the straight, unhurried path is the one that banks the most, and the frantic, roundabout dash comes limping home with the least. Because of that minus, and nothing else in the world.
And you are very deliberately not going to tell me less of what, are you? I can actually hear you deciding not to say it.
Less of the one thing you'll come to care about most of all. But no, that's the tooth that bites down on the last night of the season. The night two travellers set off from one spot, take two different roads through the world, meet again at one finish, and one of them steps off younger than the other. That single minus sign is the reason it can happen at all. Tuck it away for now. Tonight, just carry the strangeness of it in your pocket.
So I get to be shown the monster at the end of the book, and then packed straight off to bed without my supper.
Straight off to bed. Tonight you only need two things from the strange arithmetic. the minus sign, and the honest feeling low in your gut that it is genuinely odd. Odd in a way that no ordinary map has ever once managed to be.
Oh, the gut feeling is coming through loud and clear, believe me. A universe that keeps its most sacred books by subtraction. Marvelous.
And that odd little minus buys you one more thing, quietly while we're standing here. For a beam of light, the interval between where it sets out and where it lands comes to nothing at all. 0. The plus part and the minus part fall dead even and wipe each other out. Light threads the join between the two flavors, the events with more time buried in them and the events with more space stretched between them. It walks the seam of the fabric, right down the middle.
Light lives on the seam, and that seam, I'm guessing, is the finest possible place for you to stand and point at the next thing.
The finest place in the world. So flash a lamp for me, just once. A single pop of light in a pitch-dark room. What does the light actually do?
Tears off in every direction at once, a ball of light swelling outward, getting bigger every single instant, and faster than anything else in creation is allowed to move.
A growing sphere of light outrunning the world. Now I want you to picture it as more than a ball in space. Picture it as a ball in space that is also marching steadily forward through time as it swells. Bigger and later, the two together. If you could somehow lay space and the march of time out side by side on one canvas, that expanding flash would trace a shape that opens up ahead of you. Like an ice cream cone, its wide mouth flung open toward the future.
A cone, made of light, its mouth opening up into everything that's still to come.
The light cone. And it does something quietly enormous. It takes the entire universe of events, every happening there ever was or ever will be, and sorts the whole lot into 3 bins. Just 3. Sorted out from wherever you happen to be standing this very instant, and sorted a little differently, mind, from where the fellow on the train is standing, because his cone leans a touch from yours. But, and here is the thing to hold on to, you both agree on which events fall inside and which fall out. You tilt your compasses, you carve up the insides your own separate ways, and still you never once disagree about who is a guest and who is a stranger. The bins are as unbudgeable as the interval itself, because they are the interval, sorted by its flavor. Let me hand them to you one at a time, slowly.
One at a time and slowly, because I can feel this is the one that badly wants to sprint off and lose me in the dark.
The first bin. Everything that lies inside that forward cone. That's everywhere your flash of light could reach as it swells outward. And more to the point, it's everywhere you yourself could still get to, or still send a message to, if you leapt up this second and haired off at any speed you please, right up to light's own. That is your future. Everything you could still, even in principle, have a hand in.
Inside the front cone, the reachable stuff, the events I can still touch, still nudge, still turn up to in time to matter.
And notice what inside really costs you. To reach anything in that cone, you have to travel there slower than light, taking real time about it. The cone isn't a promise you'll reach all of what's ahead. It's the outer limit of what is even allowed to you. Everything you will ever do, your whole life long, happens inside the cone you're throwing this instant, and inside every cone that one opens onto next.
So my future is a nested stack of cones, each one sprouting from the tip of the last. I can only ever reach what the next cone in the stack lets me reach.
A nested stack, sprouting tip from tip, all the way to the end of your days. Now run the cone the other way entirely, backward into the past. There's a second cone opening up behind you, into all the moments already spent and gone. Anything sitting inside that one is an event that could have sent light, or something slower than light, a letter, a shove, a whisper down a wire, forward to you, here, now. That, all of it, is everything that could ever have had a hand in you.
Back cone, my past. Everything that could have reached out and shaped where I'm sitting this exact second. Front cone for what I can still touch, back cone for what could have touched me, and you promised 3 bins. Front, back. So what on earth is the third?
The third bin is the strange one. It's everything that's left over. All the events in neither cone, not in your future and not in your past. Events so far off to the side, in space, that even a beam of light flung out the instant they happened couldn't possibly reach you in time. And your own light couldn't reach them either. Not ahead of you, not behind you, just out of reach, on every side, forever and ever. And there's a name for that whole region, and it's the single most honest word in physics.
Go on then, name your third bin.
Elsewhere.
Elsewhere, everything I can't touch, and everything that can't touch me.
Elsewhere. And do you see it's the space-heavy pairs from a moment ago that landed there? Too much space between us, not enough time, no clock able to bridge the gap. The edge of the cone itself, the sloping wall between the reachable and the elsewhere, that's where light rides, on the seam, the interval falling to nothing. The starlight landing in your eye right now came to you straight along the wall of your own past cone, from a fire that lit ages and ages ago. Light draws the boundary in person. It doesn't fall inside the cone with the things you can reach, and it doesn't fall outside with the strangers. It is the wall itself, the one path in all the universe that costs you no proper time at all to travel, the interval along it falling to nothing.
So the cone isn't a fixed thing sitting somewhere out there. It travels with me. Every point in my life throws its own, forward and back, one after another, like beads on a string.
Beads on a string, a whole life of them. And now I finally get to use the picture I've been hoarding all night. Think of the light cone as a bouncer, standing at a velvet rope, arms folded across his chest, deciding who is and isn't allowed to touch whom. The future cone and the past cone, those are the people you're cleared to deal with. Cause them, be caused by them. The guest list of your life, every soul you could ever affect or be affected by. And elsewhere.
Oh, elsewhere is the VIP room, isn't it? Go on, say it. You've been dying to say it for a solid 10 minutes. It is written all over your face.
Elsewhere is the VIP room you will never ever get into. It does not matter how fast you run at the door. It does not matter how hard you shove, or what you'd trade for it, or who you think you know inside. You cannot reach a single event in elsewhere, and not one of them can reach back to you. The bouncer does not care in the slightest who you are. The cone is the guest list, and the guest list is final, and there is no appeal.
All right, but hold on. Wait. Last week you buried now. You looked me dead in the eye and told me 2 people can honestly disagree about which of 2 things came first, that there is no shared moment we all stand inside together. So where does that particular horror live in this cone of yours? It has to live somewhere in the building.
Right in the VIP room. That is where it lives. And I love that you went straight for it, because most people don't. Take 2 events sitting in each other's elsewhere. 2 things too far apart, across space and time both, to ever touch. For those 2, it is just as I told you last week. One observer says this one came first. Another says no, plainly the other one did. A third swears blind, on his mother's life, that they happened at the very same instant.
And you're going to tell me not one single one of them is wrong.
Not one of them is wrong. There is no fact of the matter about which came first. Now really is dead, for 2 events sitting out in each other's elsewhere. Their order is a thing people build differently, just like the surveyors east and north, and no tape measure in the world will ever settle it for them.
So the nightmare is still real. Order is genuinely up for grabs, and that frightens me more, not less, the longer I sit here with it because
Because if the order of events is up for grabs, then cause and effect are up for grabs, and that way lies pure madness. Go on, finish the thought. It's the right thing to be frightened of.
if people can honestly disagree about which came first, then what stops one person watching me strike the match before the flame catches, and another watching the flame arrive before I've even struck the thing? Effects turning up ahead of their own causes, that cannot be allowed to happen. Something has to forbid it, or the entire universe is a liar to its very core.
Something does forbid it. And it's the cone, the same cone. Here's the other half, the half that quietly saves the world. Take two events that can touch, one of them sitting inside the other's cone, one of your time-heavy pairs. The match and the flame it makes. A cause and its effect. For those two, every observer alive, the fast one, the slow one, any direction, any speed you could ever name, agrees on the order. Every last one of them watches the match get struck first.
Everyone. No exceptions whatsoever. No clever fellow on a rocket quick enough to catch it running backward.
No clever fellow, no rocket quick enough. There is no such rocket, and there never will be. Let me give it real teeth. Say one firecracker's spark flies across the gap and lights the fuse of a second firecracker. The first is the cause, the second the bang, and the second sits squarely inside the first's future cone, because the spark itself had to travel there to do the lighting, and the spark is slower than light. Nobody, at any speed, ever sees that bang before the spark that lit it. The order is welded shut, for everyone, for all time. And do you feel why it has to be inside the cone? The spark is a signal, and a signal can't outrun light, so it can only ever reach into the very region where all observers keep the order straight. The cause carries itself, by its own hand, into the one place where its lie could never be told. Cause and effect can only ever speak to each other through the reachable bins, and the reachable bins are the ones nobody, however fast, is able to scramble. It is almost too tidy to be an accident, and yet nobody arranged it.
And I truly can't cheat it. There's no motion, no tilt of my compass, however violent, that flips those two around.
You cannot cheat it. Tilt your compass as hard and as fast as you like. The two of them are locked inside one cone, and no amount of tilting on Earth drags one of them out of the other's future. The tilt only ever reshuffles the time order for the pairs already out in elsewhere, where the spark could never have reached in the first place.
But wait, could two events out in elsewhere ever secretly be cause and effect anyway? And I just can't see the wire strung between them. Could the universe be hiding a connection I'm not fast enough to catch?
No, and this is the clean, hard bottom of it. A cause needs a signal to carry it across, a spark, a light, a push, something crossing the gap in person. And nothing outruns light. So if two events are so far apart that even light can't cross between them, then no cause can cross either. There is no hidden wire. Causation only ever rides inside the cone, never out in elsewhere. The two things aren't secretly connected. They are genuinely, permanently strangers.
So the cone cuts the world clean in two. Things that can reach each other, order locked down tight, cause always first, every soul in agreement. Things that can't reach each other, orders a total free-for-all, everyone squabbling forever about which came first. But it costs precisely nothing, because they could never have caused each other in the first place.
You just put it better than I was about to. Relativity scrambles the order, but only for the pairs where the order was never going to mean a single solitary thing, because no cause could ever run between them. And it guards the order, perfectly, for every observer in all of creation, for the pairs where a cause could run. The scrambling lands only where it's harmless, The guarding lands everywhere it actually counts.
The chaos and the order fall in just the right places, as if somebody sat down and measured it all out beforehand.
As if somebody measured, though nobody did, and nobody is choosing it, and I don't want you walking away thinking the universe is kindly protecting you on purpose. It hasn't a purpose in it. The geometry simply happens to forbid the one thing that would break the world and permit all the harmless scrambling around it. No intent, just the shape of the cone and light sitting on the seam.
That's honestly the first time all season the strangeness has felt like it's for something, not just chaos handed to me to choke down. Chaos fenced off right where it can't do a scrap of harm. The death of now and the safety of cause and effect aren't at war with each other after all. They're the same fence, seen from two different sides.
The same fence, seen from two sides. Now, let me hand you the last piece of it all. And it's the quiet one. It's the reason I planted that interval in your lap an hour ago and let you believe it was just some cold number floating out in the dark. Let me make it warm now. Let me make it yours.
Make the rock personal. All right, I'm ready for it.
Suppose you are the thing travelling between the two events. You leave the first, a departure, a flash, a goodbye waved at a station, and you journey by whatever winding road you happen to fancy, and at long last you arrive at the second. And the whole way, the entire trip, you've got a watch on your wrist, ticking quietly along with you.
My own watch, riding with me the entire journey, ticking off my time, and nobody else's back on the platform.
The time your watch reads when you finally arrive. The time that genuinely elapsed for you along your own path, your own single thread stitched through the fabric. That has a name too. Proper time. Your wristwatch time. The time you truly lived on the way there.
As opposed to how long somebody standing back on the platform would swear I took, watching me dwindle off into the distance.
As opposed to that, and they will disagree with your watch, they always do. That's the season in a single breath. But here is the marvel. Here is the thing I've been quietly walking you toward since the church steeple all those minutes ago. That wristwatch reading, the proper time along your own path, is the interval. It is the invariant, the unbudgeable thing. The one number nobody in the cosmos can stretch by a hair. Made personal, made yours. Think for a second about what that turns the interval into. All hour I've held it up as a distance between two dots, cold, geometric, out there in the dark somewhere. But if you are the one making the trip, that distance is not out there at all. It is the beat of your own pulse, the count of your own breaths, the hours you felt drag and the ones that flew past you. The most austere, abstract quantity in all of physics. The thing that light itself forced into being, turns out, the moment you pick it up and carry it, to be the warmest, plainest thing you own. It is simply how much life went by.
So the interval and the clock reading, they're not two facts that happen to line up. They're one and the same fact, wearing two coats.
One and the same, for any path you could actually walk. One of those time-heavy trips, more time in it than space. The interval along your own thread isn't worked out from your clock. It is your clock. That agreed-upon blend of time and space read straight off the dial on your wrist. That's the whole reason nobody can argue it. They are all, every one of them, just reading your watch from wherever they happen to be standing.
Wait. The abstract rock at the bottom of the flood, the one thing every soul in the universe agrees on, is just the time my own watch reads on the trip.
Along your own path, between the two events. Yes, that's what it is. That's what the interval was, all along, under the abstraction. Everyone in the cosmos, however they carve up the space and the time between your leaving and your arriving, however loudly they argue about your speed and your distance, and how slowly they thought your poor clock was crawling, Every single one of them agrees on the one thing that matters most to you. What your watch read when you got there.
They can fight all they like about the journey, but never about the watch.
Never about the watch. And now feel that minus sign waiting quietly in the wings. Because if a longer, more roundabout, more frantic path comes home with less proper time on it, then two people can leave from a single spot, live genuinely different amounts of life, and meet again at different ages. The straight, unhurried, coasting path banks the most. The one who dashes out and hauls himself around and races back banks the least. That's the last night of the season, and I'll say no more of it. Tonight, just hold the marvel plain. Your lived time is the realest number you carry through the world. The invariant, wearing your own name written across the front of it.
So the thing that survived, the floor, the rock, the one honest number in a whole universe made of quicksand. It was my own life all along, wasn't it? The time I actually felt passing on the way through.
The time you actually felt passing. Underneath every stretch and every argument and every tilted compass and every clock that ever melted on you, there is one true number for every journey ever taken by anyone. And it's the one already ticking, quietly, on your own wrist.
I came in here tonight half sure there was nothing left in the world to hold on to. Nothing the same for anybody ever again, world without end. And you've handed me back, of all the things in the wide universe, the one number I never once doubted for a single heartbeat. My own passing time.
That's the shape of the room the moving floorboards are all riding around on top of. Now say it back to me, the three pieces of it, so I know they're truly yours to keep.
Space and time, stitched together into one single fabric, space-time. A strange arithmetic beating away at the heart of it, with a minus sign sitting right where I kept reaching for a plus. And a cone of light that draws the one true line between everything I can ever reach, and the elsewhere that I never ever will.
All three, and all yours now. And I've a feeling you already know full well that I'm not the man to leave that last line alone and unmolested.
I know it in my bones. You've drawn me a wall, the boundary between the future I can reach and the elsewhere I can't, with light itself riding right along the seam of it. And you've got that look on your face again. You're going to make me walk up and push on it.
You've come to know me far too well. Next time, we walk straight up to that wall, and we shove on it with everything we've got. We try to cross straight over it. We chase a beam of light and try to run it down. We pile speed on top of speed on top of speed. We stand on a rocket already screaming along at a fearful clip, and we add its full speed to the light streaming out of its own nose, and we watch, every single time, without fail, the boundary win. Speed piled onto speed, and the light just sits there at its one built-in pace, refusing to be hurried a hair, as though our arithmetic simply cannot reach it. It is the most maddening thing in the world the first time you see it, and the most beautiful the second.
The boundary always wins. But why though? Why that one particular wall out of everything else you've cheerfully torn down all season long?
That's the next hour, all of it. Why the one wall in the entire universe that you would most love to smash straight through is the one wall that simply will not break, no matter how much speed you hurl at it, no matter how clever you get about the throwing.
Then that's where we go. Next time, the cosmic speed limit. You bring the wall and I'll bring the running shoes. But right now, if it's all the same to you, I'm going to go and look at my watch for a good long while and feel differently about it than I ever have in my whole life. The one true number, ticking away there on my wrist the entire time, and I never once thought to thank it. Imagine that.